Hello and welcome to Mr. Paul's Pantry again. It's nice to see new visitors and returning ones this time. This is a different recipe this week. It's for a French classic called Coq Au Vin, and it's a chicken recipe. It's not something I've made often, I've made it a few times, but I've had to adapt it here in Spain because there are a few ingredients I find difficult to obtain. Um, I can't buy little button mushrooms, for instance, which they're usually in this recipe and cooked whole. I can't also buy, or find very difficult to buy, small onions like pickling onions, silver skins and things like that, tiny little onions which go in very small shallots. I can't buy those in Spain. So what I've done is I've used ordinary onion just chopped up, and as far as the mushrooms are concerned, I've just used portobello mushrooms, and I've cut those into 5 or 6 pieces. So it's made it cook quicker. I'm also, where the chicken's concerned, I'm not using chicken portions, which is normally used. I'm cutting chicken thighs up into. So here are the ingredients. Now what I've done today with this video, I have pre-prepped the ingredients because I think it's people don't want to see me chopping onions and cutting up mushrooms every other video. So what we're going to do today is I've prepped them, but I'll go through them. I will, as I use them, I've had people requesting I put on the screen the amounts each time I add them to the recipe. I will do that. They'll also be underneath the video as normal and on my website. So first of all, we've got the chicken, the 2 chicken thighs. They were boned, I've still got the skin on. I've cut them into small pieces like this so they cook quicker. Normally, a coq au vin would be chicken portions, a chicken cut into 4 in actual fact. But and it would originally have been an old boiling fowl, as my mother used to call them, which took hours and hours to cook tender enough to eat. That doesn't happen these days. So it's a nice chicken thighs, they're tastier than breast. And I think they're nice and juicy. So we've got the chicken, we've got some bacon. Now you can use smoked bacon if you wish. A lot of people do. I don't like smoked bacon very much, so I'm using what we call green bacon, unsmoked bacon. Okay. I've also got an onion, a medium-sized onion, chopped roughly. Normally in the original coq au vin, it would be small onions similar to pickling onions, silver skins and things like that, cooked whole, which I can't buy here in Spain. Same with the mushrooms, they would be tiny button mushrooms cooked whole, which again I can't buy here. I'm using portobello mushrooms today. I've cut them into half and then into 3, each half into 3 pieces, nice and rough. Now it does contain some red wine. If you don't like cooking with wine for any reason at all, I personally don't take alcohol, so I don't like cooking with wine much. But it gives it an authentic flavour and it gives it an authentic colour. But today I'm using a non-alcoholic red wine, so if you want to do that, do so by all means. I've also got some chicken stock, and I've got 2 garlic cloves chopped nice and fine. And also from the garden, I'm using 2 bay leaves, fresh bay leaves, and some thyme. Now, if you haven't got fresh herbs, you want to use dried, I will put it in the recipe, use less because dried herbs are more concentrated than the fresh, okay? So there we go. So those are the ingredients. Oh, and I've got some salt and pepper if necessary. But I'll just make a little comment about the stock. I have done it in other videos. If you're using freshly made stock yourself, that's okay. You might need salt afterwards. But if you're using bought stock, sometimes it has salt in, sometimes it doesn't. It will tell you on the container, jar or bottle or tin. But if you're using a stock cube, they always have salt in, and they're quite salty, some of them. So be careful. Don't put the salt in until you've almost finished, and then you can test it and adjust it accordingly. Okay, I'll just go through them again. We've got the chicken, some bacon, an onion, mushrooms, chicken stock, red wine, 2 cloves of garlic, and the herbs, and that's it. Okay, so we'll start and put it all together. So we're going to kick off this recipe with a nice heavy bottom pot. Okay, very heavy bottom pot. You can use any casserole type dish that's fireproof or oven proof. Now I'm going to first of all heat up the oil. And the oil is going in first, and we can't do anything until that heats up. That's 3 tablespoonfuls of oil in there. 3 tablespoonfuls of oil. I'm going to turn that up and get it quite warm. Then next we're going to add in the onion. Now remember, we don't want to brown the onion, we only want to soften it. It's not a very nice term, but in chef's terms they call it sweating the onions down. But we're going to cook them down gently. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit now, once I've got the oil hot. Turn them down a little and just let them gently cook away. Now if you find they are starting to brown before they've softened, you can put a tablespoon of water in there, and that will help prevent them browning too much. So these need cooking for about, probably a couple of minutes, that's all. They're softening down quite nicely now. So I'm going to add the chicken at this stage. And I'm also going to add the garlic. Don't put the garlic in first, because garlic burns very, very easily and we don't want that to burn. So we're putting it in now with the chicken, so that'll be cooling the mixture down a little, preventing the garlic from burning. Give it a good stir. And just cook that gently until the chicken loses its pink colour. We're not cooking the chicken through, we just want to seal it so it gets rid of its pink colour, okay? Now with the chicken added, I'm going to turn up the heat slightly. Just to colour the chicken off a little bit more. Give it a stir occasionally just to make sure the chicken is getting sealed on all sides. Now once the chicken has lost its pink colour, it's almost there now, it's time to add the liquids. So we're going to add the red wine, and we're going to add the chicken stock as well. Turn the heat right up now and bring that up to a boil. Just give it a little stir. Make sure nothing's stuck on the bottom. It isn't, and that's good. Once that comes up to the boil, we need to be adding the herbs. And I've got some thyme here, as I said. If you strip that down from the top to the bottom, not upwards, top to the bottom, the leaves will come off, leaving you with a stalk just like that. Nice and clean. Take the stalk from top to bottom. There we are. I'm putting just thyme. If you want to use dried thyme and dried bay leaves, these are the 2 bay leaves going in. I'm just going to squash those and just bruise them a little bit, that's all. No, I don't tear them into bits, just bruise them, pop them in. If you want to use dried herbs, then cut them down to about a half a teaspoon each, because dried herbs are much stronger than fresh ones. We're going to put on it's coming to the boil now, put on a tight fitting lid, and we're going to leave that now for 2 or 3 minutes, just on a rolling boil like that. Separate pan, we're going to add the bacon. This wants to be quite hot in this pan, because what we're going to do is we're going to render out the fat. So render some of the fat out. So there's no need to put any fat in here at this present time, I don't think. Depending how fat your bacon is, but I don't think we need any at the moment. We'll see anyway. Just break it up a little bit. Now we can see the fat starting to render out there. Going to now add the mushrooms. Just stir them around to get some of that fat onto the mushrooms. And as you probably know, mushrooms have quite a lot of water in them, and so what we're going to do is I'm going to pop a lid on that just to get some of that water out of there a little quicker. Okay? Now this needs cooking for 3 or 4 minutes until they've started to colour a little, the mushrooms, and then we'll take it to the next stage. Now these are nicely coloured now, so what we're going to do is we're going to add them to the chicken pot. Like that. Give it a good stir. When it comes back to the boil, we're going to put the tight fitting lid on again, and we're going to cook that now for 20 minutes. I'll come back after the 20 minutes. Turn it down to a simmer for 20 minutes. Well, here we are after 20 minutes. Been bubbling away there, simmering away. I'm just going to take out the bay leaves if I can find them both. There's one. Can't see the other one. Anyway, there it is. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to taste that for seasoning. Now, needs a little pepper. I don't season these things until nearly the end, and then it certainly doesn't need any salt because my stock had salt in. There's some black pepper going in. Now we need to pop that back, leave it on the heat, sorry, not pop it back, leave it on the heat. Leave it simmering now for another 20 minutes until it there's the bay leaf, until it reduces down, and then we're ready to serve it. Okay, I'll back in 20 minutes. Right, 20 minutes has gone. I think I'm just going to give that a little taste test now, see what it's like. I'll just grab a small piece of chicken, a bit of mushroom, etc., and I'll try that and see what it's like. Chicken's delightful. It's very, very nice. Now I'm going to serve that with some tender stem broccoli, and possibly, if I can be bothered, I'm going to serve it with some tender stem broccoli and some baby broad beans. Okay, I'll show you when it's served up. Well, that's all I have time for this week. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, go underneath, and if you haven't subscribed, click on the subscribe button, and when the little bell icon appears, click on that as well, and that means YouTube will tell you every time I put up a new video. If you have any comments, leave them in the comments section below, and if you have any questions or queries, you can either leave them there or email me or contact me via my Facebook page. So this is Mr. Paul saying bye for now, and I'll see you next time. Bye.